The fundamental property of a line is expressed by a ratio. Ratio is the comparison between two numbers. This ratio is written as A divided by B, or it can also be written as a single number. When a ratio is expressed as a single number, then it is compared with 1. For example, the ratio 5 divided by 2 can also be written as 2.5. This means it is compared with 1 unit. If 2 divided by 5 is the ratio, then it can be expressed as 0.4. That means 1 unit of this is 0.4 unit of the other. When the upper number is larger than the lower number, then it's a number larger than 1. But if the upper number is smaller than the lower number, then the final value is smaller than 1. The special property of a line is called the gradient. The gradient of a line is the ratio of change in the y-axis to change in the x-axis. When it is represented by a single number, it means a change in 1 unit of the x-axis would result to a change of n unit of the y-axis. This can be compared to the concept of stairs. When we take a look at the stairs, it would give us a better concept of what is going on by looking at from every perspective. For example, this particular stair and this stair, they don't have the same gradient because this one is steeper. It would be more difficult to climb this stair than this. So the comparison becomes, when we talk about stairs, 1 unit of the x unit would give rise to another unit of the y. Another 1 unit of the x would give rise to another unit of the y, and thus it rises. So the gradient, also known as slope by the letter m, can be thought of as rise over run. But there are stairs that fall. In these types of stairs that fall rather than rise, we can call them fall over run, and usually they're denoted by a negative number. At first, the stairs might not look like lines, but if you take a look closer, every step is like a point. And when we join these points and they rise up step by step, 1 unit of x and a particular unit of y. And by joining these points, we eventually get a line. If we take a look at this line, it is clear the slant of this line or the gradient of this line is higher because it is rising higher with every 1 unit. Here we can see that the gradient is lower. And here this is falling rather than rising when we are comparing to the x-axis. So it is clear that the gradient of a line is a step-by-step change, but for a particular line the gradient is fixed. If the gradient of this line is m1, if the gradient of this is m2, if the gradient of this is m3, and if the gradient of this is, obviously it will be a negative gradient, m4, for this particular line the gradient would be m1 throughout. It would be fixed. For this line and for this line, each of them would have their individual gradients. A gradient of a line is a constant, and it's a ratio that cannot change for that particular line.